Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Doctor.
Doctor Who?
Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for David Tennant!
Come on!
You want to duet with me, sir? Don't you dare me to have a good time.
Love this! I mean, I'm probably going to have to take this off. There we go! Come on!
Serious.
Hello, people on the floor. Are you all right? Hi. Hi. Hello. Nice to see you all.
Yes, yes. Hey, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm just grand, thank you.
That is fantastic. Obviously, there's a couple people that were excited to see you.
I'm delighted.
Is this your first time in Des Moines?
It is my first time in Des Moines, yes. My first time in Des Moines, and I've been here for an hour. So this is first impressions, guys.
Some of these people have been sitting here all day waiting for you.
Oh, well, thank you.
We love you!
All right, so you guys are here. Y'all ready to ask questions. I'm getting out of your way, all right? So we're going to start on this side, and we're just going to orderly move all the way down. Is that cool? You guys good? Are you ready? First question, no pressure.
Come on.
You got it.
I'm so excited. This absolutely has nothing to do with Doctor Who.
Brilliant.
But it does have to do with something that you're going to be appearing in very soon, and I cannot wait to see you as Crowley in there.
Oh, yes. You want to say that because you're awful.
So I'm just curious as to how did you come about getting this part, and have you read the book, or have you read it prior to getting the part?
I hadn't read it prior. No. I got the script. I just got phoned up. Douglas McKinnon, the director I'd worked with on Doctor Who, I knew him, and Neil Gaiman had written the script after his own book, and I got sent, I think, 2 of them, the first 2 of them.
Nice, nice.
And I read it and thought, why would I not want to do this? This part's amazing. And this story is bonkers, and this world that Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman created is so sort of unique and idiosyncratic and bananas and seductive, and so yeah, it was very straightforward. So then I read the book, and then I discovered how beloved that book is, and you're a testament to that. And then I kind of thought, maybe I should be a bit more nervous about this because people love it.
Yes.
Yeah, and then you don't want to break it, you know. But I think the fact that we got Neil Gaiman running the show, and he's written the script, so I feel like we can't go too far wrong, and if we do, it's his fault, so that's fine.
I had some wonderful friends who introduced me to the book after finding out that you were going to be playing that part. So as I read the book, I read it as you being that part, and I think you're going to do amazingly.
I hope you're right!
Thank you. Hello, how are you?
Hi.
Very well. Good afternoon to you, kind sir.
Oh,
Great
you
good
look
day.
so cool. You could
I
be a
love
future
artist,
You
in
could
case you
be.
can't tell.
I can tell that, but I also love your hat.
Oh, I'm an old soul man.
Hey.
I think that could be a future Doctor outfit.
Thank you. Okay, my question is about characters in general you played, like good characters, bad characters, maybe some of a mix of this. What did you find most challenging? What was interesting about the part, and why did you like it?
About which any part.
Any part. In general.
Well, I think you sort of put your finger on it. I think that's the interesting thing is that, of course, generally characters are, maybe sometimes they sort of occupy the baddie space in something, or they occupy the goodie spaces, but every character is shades of grey, aren't they? They're all a bit of this and a bit of that. They're all a bit of yin and a bit yang. Even the most sort of monstrous, what's interesting is finding the bits of them that are vulnerable, I suppose. And it's interesting playing Crowley, who's a demon, should be one of the bad guys, but actually, in a way, is almost more of a hero than the angel is in some ways in that story. And that's sort of is what's interesting about characters and finding the bits that maybe even audiences won't ultimately get from what you do. It's just about finding the nuances, and that's what brings a character to life, I think. Finding the inconsistencies, allowing characters to be inconsistent, I think is quite interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great question.
Matt.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, so first of all, me and Peter were huge fans of Doctor Who, and out of all of them, you're my absolute.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think is your most impactful episode of Doctor Who?
Most impactful? I've never been asked that before. That is an excellent question. Most impactful? I have no idea. Most impactful. What a great word. How old are you? 10, and you're using words like impactful. Respect. Clearly the education system in Des Moines is top. Funnily enough, it's probably great! Don't worry. I meant to do that. Let's do a little walk. This is what I meant to do all along. This is what I was aiming for. I think so most impactful is probably like the first one that came out. So probably in a funny way, because that sort of defines so much about then what you're then doing with that part. Because it's one of these things, it's so loved and it's gone on for so many years and people are sort of desperately waiting to see what you're going to do with it. So your most impactful outing is probably your first one. So probably in a funny way, it was that tiny little 5-minute episode that was done as part of the Children in Need charity telethon. I don't know if you've even seen it. Yes, you've seen it. Of course you have. Who am I talking to again? So yeah, probably that was my most impactful in terms of it was my first sort of go at it. Of course it wasn't, we'd shot lots of other episodes before we did that one, but that was the first one that was let loose out into the public, you know. So I'll go with that. Impactful, well done.
Good job.
Back in the middle?
Back in the middle?
Yes.
I was curious about the phrase Alonzi. Like, where did that start? Did you?
From the tortured mind of Russell T Davies. Yeah, that was him all the way. It just started appearing in the script, and I don't know how Russell came about that. I suspect, knowing the way Russell works, it's the sort of thing he would drop into conversation. And I suspect he sprinkled it into a script without thinking too much about it, because it felt doctorish and perky and jaunty. And then it started reappearing, and I don't know how conscious that was, and then eventually it became, I suppose, something of a catchphrase. And then, of course, he had to name Russell Tovey's character Alonzo, and it all came full circle. So I suspect, yes. Russell is never very clear about how thought through his sort of long-term plans are, or things like that, like the hand in the jar. Did he really think that through from the slice of the Sycorax sword right to the end? I don't know if he does, or if he sort of retrofits all that stuff. But that's a testament to his brilliant brain, and that's where Alonzi came from.
Great question. Hello.
Hello, by the way, I think you're fantastic.
Oh, thank you. I like it here in Des Moines.
So my question for you is, when you were leaving as the Doctor from Doctor Who, were you ready to pass the torch, or were you wanting to stay on for a couple more seasons?
It's a hard one. I made the choice to leave. You know, I could have stayed, I suppose. I talked to Stephen Moffat about the possibility of it. And then eventually you just have to go, if I don't leave now, I probably will stay until I'm no longer welcome. And that would be a terrible thing. So I think I probably have to screw my courage to my sticking post and decide to move on while people might want to see more of me. I think it's always better to leave them wanting more, I think. And difficult to know when to do it, but Russell T Davies was leaving, Julie Gardner were leaving, and they were so much a part of my experience on that show that it felt right and proper that we all go at the same time. But it was hard to do, and of course you then wish the next team well, and particularly I wished Matt well, But it's weird. On the day that Matt turned up to do the regeneration scene, it was filmed on the same day. You know, I did my bit, and then he came in and he did his bit, and he came in and we said hi, and we had a photograph taken together, and then you leave, and then it carries on, which is a bit weird. Because however much you know how it works, and however much you come to terms with the fact that you're leaving something that you've had a wonderful time on, and you're doing it for all the right reasons, and you're sure it's the right thing to do, there's still a little part of you that thinks, yeah, but it doesn't work without me, does it? Really? There's a little bit of your ego that doesn't really want to accept that the show is bigger than you, but it is. And you do realise that, and that's the way it should be. And yes, although you leave that studio and you think, well, they're still filming without me, and you have a little moment which is difficult, but it's great because that's the job. You know, you've been part of something that has lived so long and that keeps rejuvenating itself, and that and you know you've got to hold that in your hands for a little while, and that's it's nice to hand it over knowing you haven't broken it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello. I was wondering, after your role of Barty Crouch Jr., Harry Potter 4, I was wondering, did you ever imagine you'd be part of another franchise as big as Doctor Who?
I did Harry Potter before I did Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So I mean, I was already part of that. I suppose I was quite a minor cog in that enormous machine. I mean, I was thrilled to be part of it. And it's something that, you know, yes, it's still something that is very alive. People don't you know, enjoy, and because those movies will live much longer than any of us. You know, new audiences are discovering it all the time, including my children recently, which is quite weird. So, yeah, when you're part of something like that, you do feel the excitement of being part of such a big franchise, a big machine, and a big beloved story. And then I sort of went from that to Doctor Who just a few months later. So it was a bit like, oh, maybe everything's like this. But yes, it's thrilling. It's thrilling to be part of something that is so loved, to get to play in those sand pits. It's great. And a bit humbling and a bit scary, like Good Omens. You're going to think, oh, there's another one that people adore and love. And the other one that I didn't realise people loved so much was DuckTales. I missed it when I was growing up. I think I was a bit too old, a bit too British.
I was going to say, you're never too old for DuckTales.
No, you are never too old for it. And indeed, the fellow cast members who are all DuckTale fanboys who grew up with it, and fangirls, Kate McCucci's one as well, who grew up with it and loved it. But I underestimated how loved that show is. But I feel very lucky to be involved in things that people love. It's got nothing to do with me, they love it already. So I'm just thrilled to be scooping some of the love off.
Thank you. Awesome. Hello.
Hi! Do you have a polysyllabic word for us?
What was your favorite thing about being a doctor?
Well, the favourite thing about being a doctor, it's so odd that it's that. It's that you get to be the doctor, you get to be the coolest person in the room, you get to be cleverer than anyone, you get to be madder than anyone, you get to have all the best times, frankly. You get to do all the running, you get to do, you win almost every week. There's not much that's bad about it. And it's, like we were saying, people love it so much, and I know because I grew up loving it so much, and I had Doctor Who posters on my wall, that I get why it's such a thrill, and to get to be in the middle of that was just really exciting. It was just great. I recommend it.
Wait, before you go, do you have a polysyllabic word to say? Are you sure you don't? Like, based on your costume?
Exterminator.
Hi, David.
Hi!
I have also a non-Doctor Who question.
Very good.
I know that you love theater and Shakespeare,
Sure.
and that's one of my biggest loves. I just want to know what your favorite Shakespeare play is. maybe even your favorite character?
Well, I do reserve the right to change my mind.
Absolutely.
On a whim. But I think it probably is still Hamlet. I think it's probably the best play. I think it's probably the most extraordinary character that's sort of ever been created because it's sort of everything, and it's continually confounding. And having lived with and played that part and lived with it for a number of months, even years, it would always be confounding. And any time you go back to it, it surprises you. And lots of good writing does that, and lots of Shakespeare does that. But I think probably Hamlet. I think that's probably why it's the one that people go back to. It's why To Be or Not to Be is the sort of Shakespearean cliche, because there's something at the kernel of that that is actually just, you know, a piece of human creativity made genius. I think there's something about it, and I wouldn't claim to be able to unpack what that is, but I just sort of I think I recognised it. So.
Thank you.
Great question. Hello.
Hi, David. This is actually about the Big Finish audios you're doing now.
You're right.
How different is performing the Doctor as just an audio character versus playing him on screen?
Well, it's much quicker. You do it in like a day, less than a day. They do it very quickly. I suppose it's less. There are very obvious practical differences. You don't get dressed up. You don't have to learn the lines. You don't have to put quite as much stuff in your hair. I suppose in a way that you're trying to make it the same. So in a way, I suppose what's different about it is you're trying to recreate something, because they're about those recreating a moment in time when those stories were on the TV. There's a sort of part of what Big Finish is about. I think is kind of capturing moments in time. So I guess you're trying to recreate something you're not doing every day, because when we were shooting Doctor Who, we were there 9 months of the year. It's what we did. It's what we went to work to do. But with Big Finish, you sort of turn up maybe once a year and do 3 years. 3 days. Maybe once a year you do like 3 days in a studio. And lots of it's the same. It's the same voice. It's talking quickly. It's getting your mouth around some tongue twisters. It's oftentimes with Billy or Catherine, and that's lovely. But they're great, and they're so well written. Actually, it feels very familiar very quickly. There's a new Big Finish series called Jenny the Doctor's Daughter coming out soon.
Woo!
They're terribly good. Recommend them.
Needs to be live action.
Sure. Needs to be live action.
Tell us how you really feel.
Damn straight.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Hello.
Hi. Yeah.
I don't have a question, but I just want to let you know you're terrifying in Jessica Jones.
Was there a transition that you had to go through to play such a dark character like that?
Yeah, I just turned up.
Somebody else
Turned up, and there he was, ready to go, fresh out of the box.
Terrifying.
Okay, so I'm a big fan of Doctor Who.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't know from the way you're dressed.
But I also love Jessica Jones.
Thank you.
And I was devastated when you were...
Spoilers!
Sure.
You haven't seen it, but I'm very excited. I love the character. I didn't think I'd like you in that character because I didn't see you that way. But once I see you do it, you're amazing.
Well, thank you. That's very kind. Yes. I mean, I wouldn't say I love that character. There's not a lot to love, but he is kind of delicious.
It gets in your head.
Well done. Thank you.
Hi.
Hello.
Nice outfit.
Thank you. Me and my wife were huge fans of Doctor Who, but my wife can't watch Jessica Jones because you play a bad guy. But I'm a big fan.
Thank you.
Do you like playing Kilgrave? And if you do, what was your favorite scene being Kilgrave as a bad guy?
The thing that's slightly titillating about a character like Kilgrave, I'm assuming everyone knows who Kilgrave is. For anyone who doesn't, he's a Marvel supervillain, and he can, whatever he asks you to do, you have to do it. You are compelled to do it. And there is something quite weirdly kind of titillated about me, even just in the context of filming a scene. You get to, whenever you see people have to do it all around you, it's weird. I'm kind of like, I could grow to like this. You know, and like it's just weird when you see, I like the ones where he barely raised an eyebrow and people had to do terrible things just because it's the guy with the coffee in his face. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah, the little newspaper guy. And that actor was great. He turned up just to do that, and he was amazing. Every take he was screaming that part down in the middle of New York. So yes, there's something. It's such an intoxicating idea that someone should have that power. And of course, then of course you thought, well, how corrupted would I get? How soon would I become the monster? And I sort of defy any of us not to, but I don't know. Luckily, none of us have to deal with that.
Great question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
So, 2 parts. First, what's the difference in prepping to do a role like Kilgrave compared to going and doing something like DuckTales where you're not on screen, and then this one here has a DuckTales challenge for you.
DuckTales challenge, brilliant.
She wants to know if you can sing the DuckTales theme.
The question is, can you sing the DuckTales? You can?
When they announced DuckTales like as a thing, like to the world, and to the world, of course, when I say world, I mean the internet, we all had to sing it. That's what they made us do it. There's a video online of us all singing the DuckTales theme tune. I'm the one in London, of course, on his own. They all got to do it in a studio together at various times. And it's too high. It's too high for me. I can't reach the... I can't get up there. So, probably not. I don't think I know all the words. I have to say, though, it is one of the all-time great theme tunes. And thank goodness they didn't change it from the original. Something that was often said about Doctor Who. I think when you've got a great theme tune, stick with it. So, well, it is. I suppose it's different. It's different in that again with DuckTales, you're not physically there. It's just about doing it in your voice. It's only what happens in that microphone that will make it on screen. So it's a different sort of challenge, I guess. You don't have to learn the lines, so there's less preparation from that in a very practical sense. But you know, it's always, whether you're playing a sort of supervillain with mind control powers or a duck, it's all just about trying to make it truthful and trying to make it real and on some level and trying to judge the tone of it. So it's sort of the same, but you don't have to learn the lines.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Love you.
You're very kind.
Thank you. So, with you playing Doctor Who and starting off as this kind of bubbly character and going a little more darker towards the end, how did you feel about that?
I suppose maybe it's, I don't know, I just followed the story, really. I followed the script. It wasn't something that I was focusing on. I think there was a natural sort of arc to it. I think that there was a sort of sense that the Doctor was being reborn, that he was getting over some of his troubles, Time War troubles, and that gave him a new lease of life, a new lease of optimism, a new joie de vivre, and that the very fact of his loneliness, the very fact of his almost eternal life next to the very transitory life of the people that are around him, it sort of breaks him to an extent. And there is a sort of journey where he moves from eternally optimistic to something less positive. I think maybe that was inevitable, maybe that was just the way our stories went, but I think it's always one of the challenges in a story that's got to, it's got to, you know, it's a long-running story, it has to be reset to zero at the end of every episode to an extent. So you're looking for those kind of longer-term, just changes in tone that will just give you something different to play every week, I suppose. So, but again, it was very much led by Russell. It's all Russell's fault.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
So I'd like to know if you've ever had a near-death experience.
Wow, that just got real serious.
Well, I mean, apart from like, I had quite a dangerous appendicitis when I was about 10 that was undiagnosed. Don't laugh, that's serious.
I think they all were expecting to talk about that chair.
Has anyone here had an appendicitis? Yeah, it's scary, right? Sore, it's sore. And it wasn't diagnosed for a long time, which meant it ruptured and there was a lot of poison in my system. So technically that was quite a near-death experience. I didn't realise that at the time. It was years later. I mean, I was 10, so I know what I know. But years later, my dad went, oh yeah, because we had that night, we didn't think you were going to make it. I said, what? He said, yeah, no, you were sort of rushed into hospital and you were put on that drip, but no, we didn't, we were up all night, we didn't know that you were going to make it through, and I had no idea it got that serious. I was just there going, oh, where am I now? I was 10. So I suppose that was a near-death experience, although I didn't realise it at the time. The other near-death experience that I did have, I used to, my parents used to have a house with stairs that went up. There was a sort of banister on the outside of the stairs. I mean, obviously there's a banister on the outside of the stairs. It's like here, you know, like this bit. But it went up quite high. And when everyone went out, so I must have been a bit old enough to be left in the house, probably like 14 maybe. And when they all went out, I would sort of start climbing up the outside of the staircase like that. Why? When nobody else was in the house. Because I was 14.
Yeah!
I was up at the house.
Oh, hell yeah.
Doing kind of that.
Whoa.
Yeah,
it's connected.
and quite enjoying myself. And I slept. And then managed to just grab it at sort of one spindle at the last minute. And didn't fall to my death. I mean, I don't know if I'd have died, but it felt like a near-death experience at the time. I never did it again.
Thank you. Hello.
Okay, so I wanted to ask, when you were first handed the script for Jessica Jones and you saw the character Kilgrave and you saw the things that he told people to do, what was your first reaction to just the stuff that Kilgrave does?
Well, funny enough, if you've seen the show, in the first few episodes, Kilgrave is a sort of ghostly presence. He doesn't really show up till episode 4 or 5, maybe. He doesn't really get going. And they only had 2 scripts, because it was quite a long time before they started shooting. So I got 2 scripts, and I got a phone call from Melissa Rosenberg and Jeff Loeb, who are Melissa Rosenberg, the writer, Jeff Loeb's the head of Marvel Television, and they just sort of pitched it to me. And I had to sort of take a punt on it, so I didn't really know. They kind of described roughly what would be happening. They talked about the character, they talked about, you know, I can look him up in his comic book history, but it's not really the same. So I didn't really know. I then discovered the script as we went, and of course he does some appalling things. But all the time, what I still find fascinating about that character is that sense of, if that was your life, how would you know how would your sense of what's right and what's wrong would be corrupted? It just would be, and you find it very difficult to tell what boundaries were anymore. Because if you couldn't tell if somebody was ever doing anything willingly or not, you might easily choose to assume they were doing it willingly. So that doesn't excuse any of the monstrous things that he does, but I think it from an acting point of view, it was a sort of fascinating thing to play with and to sort of look at what that psychology was and what that would do to any one of us.
Good question. Hello.
Hi.
I want to say, I can't believe this hasn't been brought up at first, but I loved you in Broadchurch.
Oh,
somewhat related, I'm sure you've been asked this before, but since you know Chris and Jodie very well from working with them,
yes.
Is there any potential you might appear in the new series of Doctor Who, or would you do that if you were asked to?
The thing about a question like that is even if I had an answer to give, I wouldn't give it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It would be so it would be such a toxic secret that I would have to just lie. So I have absolutely no plans. But I might be lying. But I'm probably not. And Chris has absolutely no plans. But again, he might be lying. He might be lying to me. I might be lying about what he said to me. But probably not. You can talk to Jodie, see what she has to say.
No, I mean,
Again, she might be lying.
have you been talking to Jodie a lot about playing the doctor?
I might have talked to her, I might not have talked to her.
That is Matrix level dodging.
Again, this all might be a lie. So, I can never answer that question truthfully.
Alright, thanks.
Okay.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
My family thinks the best thing you've ever done are the How to Train Your Dragon books.
Oh.
And we had a question. You switch from one voice to another, and I want to know, are you doing that in one recording? Just like old wrinkly to fish legs and back?
Yes.
Like, I can't believe there's no pause.
The only time there's a pause is if there's some character, if you're in book 13, and some character from book 1 shows up, and you haven't done it for, I mean, those books took about 15 years to go from the first one to the last one. And I would have to, as it got towards the end, she loved sort of going, well, there's a character from book 1 I'm just reintroducing for a scene. And you'd have to go back and get some CDs out and try and look it up. And then I'd have little recordings on my phone. So never again, there'd be pauses then. But no, the characters did it all the time. I spent ages with felt tip pens, sort of going through it. So Hiccup was always just a black line, and then Toothless was a yellow line, and Fish Legs was a green line, and Stoic was navy blue, I think. Was orange, and most people in these books are like, what is he talking about?
He's casting spells on all of them.
But yeah, no, you've got a whole book to get through. You can't hang around.
Thank you.
Glad you enjoyed it. Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
I was wondering, like, your favorite video games and your maybe children's favorite video games.
Do you have a favorite video game?
Do I have a favorite?
Or do your kids have a favorite video game?
Well, my son, who's 16, is obsessed. He has, I wouldn't dare answer for him because I'd probably get it wrong. That would be a disaster. I know once he has been into down the years, but I don't know what his current favourite is. What's my favourite? I didn't really get to play as many as that. I recently played Uncharted 4. The Batman games are great, aren't they? The Arkham games, they're pretty good. Yeah. And Jet Set Willy from the ZX Spectrum, 1988. Probably 1986. Actually, you know what? No, Saberwolf. That was my all-time favourite on the ZX Spectrum. That's such a non-American reference. Sorry.
Gamers though are all nodding at you like.
Oh yeah, did I get that right? Hardcore gamers?
You got some gamers in here that do that?
Yeah.
I thought I saw some.